I need to know more about these men who claim they were his doctors.
I told you they had all the proper identification.
Look, they did not have authorization to take him out of his bed. Now, what in God's name is going on around here? I know you were under a lot of pressure with the accident victims, but the fact is that somebody transferred my husband without talking to me.
You're going to have to speak to Dr. Reynolds.
Reynolds, I spoke to him. You stood right here when I spoke to him. Now, Reynolds told me that Cruz's family was made aware of everything, but he didn't double-check.
Mrs. Castillo, under normal circumstances...
I know these are not normal circumstances. You have people lying in cots in the hallways. My first responsibility is to my husband. Now, what I need to know is that did these men make contact with anybody in the hospital?
Well, perhaps someone in reception.
Fine, thank you very much. I'll talk to them. Hello?
Do not try to find him.
Who is this?
You want your husband safe?
What do you know about my husband?
No police. If you involve the police, he will die.
He's gonna die if you don't bring him back to the hospital. He's very sick. He's been badly hurt.
Tell no one your husband is missing. No one. You understand?
Wait. I... Oh, my God. Go back to sleep. Rick, swear to me that I can trust you. Swear on Cruz's life.
Eden, what's going on?
Tell me that you won't tell a soul. Promise me.
What the hell happened to Cruz?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I went to have something to eat with Kelly. I came back. I mean, he'd been resting. He was fine. And then he wasn't in his bed. Evidently, two men, one dressed as a doctor, one as an orderly, came in and said that Cruz was being transferred to a facility in Los Angeles.
What do you mean, a facility? What other facility?
Well, there wasn't any facility. That's just it. There is no facility. It's the same people who attacked him and tried to kill him.
Well, I thought they wanted the stone. They got the stone.
Then, now they got Cruz.
Eden, listen, I mean, if I were in your shoes, anybody in your shoes would probably jump to the same conclusions. But, I mean, look, don't you think they could be doctors? I mean, with the zoo going on here, they could have just transferred the wrong patient.
No.
Well, how can you be so sure? Look, the rooms are not even rooms. The beds are not labeled.
Rick, they called me. They called me and they told me not to say anything to anybody, especially the police. Otherwise, they would kill him. That's why you can't say anything to anyone. Not to Papa, not to Carmen.
Well, yeah, of course, I know that. We're going to have to say something, though, Eden. I mean, and your parents, too, right?
Yeah, well, I figured what I'd do is I would tell my family that Cruz was being transferred to Ohio. And the reason I couldn't go with him was that they were transferring him on a special airplane, a hospital airplane, and then I could go in a couple of days and see how he was doing.
Then what?
Well, I put a call into Michael, but he's in Los Angeles trying to track down whoever attacked Cruz.
Yeah, well, it's just as soon not get a hold of him anyway, right? I mean, these people seem pretty adamant that the police not be involved.
Yeah, exactly. But I think I have to trust Michael. As soon as he calls me back, I'll tell him about the phone call and the warning.
Well, what can I do in the meantime?
Well, Maybe you could ask some questions. You know, I talked to the nurse. She told me that perhaps the people who came in had to get clearance from reception or something. Maybe you could ask around and try to see if we can get a detailed description of who these men really were.
Yeah, right. Sure thing, yeah.
I guess I'm going to wait for Michael to call and hope to God he can tell us where to go from there.
It's too late.
Oh, what did you say?
It's too late. I saw your face. You can't make a run for it now, pal.
That was hardly my intention.
Hey, wait a minute, man. Wait a minute.
You must rest. I have food and drink.
What is this place, anyway? Will you please talk to me for a second, lady? Who brought me here? That man who was here, do you work for him, lady?
Answer me when I ask you a question. I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay,
You are brave, Castillo. Foolish, but brave.
damn you.
No, you're the one who'd be damned if I let you make your way through this desert. There's nothing for miles, 200 miles in any direction. Not that you'd have a chance to see anything. You'd die of thirst in the first 6 hours.
Who are you?
I'll answer all your questions, but first, let's go to the comfort of my tent.
I think I'll take my chances out here.
Before a man dies, don't you think he should know why? You're here because you're supposed to be here. It's written in the stars above that you and I should meet. So before you choose the easy way out, at least have the courage to know the reason you're here. Kismet, my friend, you have much to learn about destiny.
Like that? More like that?
Yes, and the nose. It was flatter.
Flatter? All right. Not bad. That?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah?
It's incredible. I had no idea you could sketch like this.
Oh, well, you know, me, a wealth of useless talents. Just that this is the first time my doodling has ever amounted to anything.
Listen, we're going to have to ask you that you can keep this completely confidential. The man that you described is under investigation for malpractice. So if we were to verify that this was the man, then we would have to get my husband another physician. So if you would be so kind as to not tell anybody that we've been asking you questions. If you can think of anything else.
Yeah, I mean, we've got this face, but did you hear this guy in particular or the other guy speak or talk, how'd they sound? I mean, did they ask this ambulance driver where they were going, any directions?
Yeah, the doctor did. But it was in some language I couldn't understand.
Arabic?
I don't know.
That's okay. Thanks for your help, really. And I hope we can depend on you not to say anything to anybody about this.
Absolutely. Good luck to you.
Thanks.
Well, I tell you, it would have been nice if you could have gotten this to Michael before he left.
Yeah, well, he'll see it soon enough.
What is this you were talking about, these guys speaking Arabic? What's that got to do with anything? You don't think they took Cruz out of the country, do you?
I don't know what to think.
I drink with my friends.
You gain nothing by refusing me, Castillo. How do you expect to keep up your strength?
And what does that matter to you?
There's a very interesting story behind that.
Well, I'm not going to hold my breath since you still haven't kept your first promise to me, which was, I believe, to tell me your name.
Omar Mustafa Kamal, Pasha of Kharif.
Uh-huh. Am I supposed to know where that is? You'll forgive me, Omar. I left my atlas at home.
I take it you've not traveled to North Africa before.
Well, I don't know. Is there a Club Med near here?
I am familiar with that organization. Vacation club, yes? Men in flowery shirts, women in skimpy attire. Very amusing joke.
So how come you're not laughing?
Perhaps when I've had some wine, I'll be more inclined to levity. Are you sure you won't join me? You're afraid I poisoned it, aren't you? Pity.
No, that didn't cross my mind. If you wanted me dead, I'd have been history when your advance man threw the first punch. You obviously want me alive. So we can talk about the Talisman?
However did you guess?
Just lucky, I suppose. So, Pasha, don't tell me. That's a Turkish word, isn't it?
That's correct. I am Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of my nation. Pasha's my military title.
Despite the fact that the term was abolished some 30 or so years ago, it was stricken as an official rank according to both Turkish and Egyptian law.
You're very well informed.
But you still call yourself Pasha, even though no one else recognizes you as such?
Those who need to recognize it do so. I believe in tradition, Castillo, as my grandfather was called Social IB. Customs don't change with these petty laws men write.
A philosopher. How lucky can I get?
Yes, it was my major field of study at Harvard. That and history of Native American culture.
That answers my next question.
Which was?
What does a Turk living in North Africa know about the Sakit Indians of North America?
Very few people are students of the Sakit tribe. But I found them fascinating. Fascinating enough for a doctoral dissertation. Catch.
But there's such a small group, Omar. There's so few of them left.
Yes, but their customs are remarkably intact. Other tribes have their legends, but none so vivid as that of the Sakit stone.
You believe in it?
Would we be here having this discussion if I did not?
Well, then you ought to know that the stone is supposed to be passed on, not stolen.
How is it a theft if you never wanted it to begin with? You tried to rid yourself of it initially. Can you deny this is true?
So you've been having me watched for a long time.
I had to know if the power of the shaman could be passed down to someone who was not born into the core of the tribe. When I saw your abilities were enhanced, I thought mine also could be enhanced. I was mistaken.
Your abilities? I have no idea what you are talking about. I took that stone out of respect for the man who gave it to me. I never thought it would make me different from other men.
Then you are very short-sighted, my friend. Or like so many Americans, you're skeptical of anything that smacks of the mystical. I am not so prejudiced. I remain objective. I can see that your abilities were enhanced when you had this stone. You are strong in its presence, and you are seriously diminished in its absence. Can you deny this is true?
I have no proof of that. And even if I did, I wouldn't abandon my life to some unseen force. I have control of my future, and I like it that way, thank you.
Control of your future? Is that why you're here? I'll tell you why you're here. You're here because I have the stone, and without it, you are at the mercy of all you refuse to understand.
And if you understand it so well, why doesn't it work for you?
What I understand and what I command are two very separate matters.
So you think you can keep me around here and order me to use the stone as you see fit? I'd like to see you try, pal.
I didn't believe you'd be cooperative, especially not on a long-term basis. But enough talk. You're tired, you've had a long journey. Let me see if I can do something to revive you. These are my wives. As they are mine, they are also yours. Or to put it in a more vulgar fashion, help yourself. Have you ever had such a richness of beauty to choose from? These enchantresses beg for nothing more than to be yours for a night. Or as many nights as you desire. Take your time, Castillo. Such a decision should be savored.
We're trying to find out if anybody matching this picture departed from this airport tonight. A guy probably about 6 foot tall, 175 pounds, brown hair, dark eyes, posing as a doctor. He's transporting a very ill patient. Maybe he could have ordered a special chartered plane or something?
That's right. I arranged it.
You did?
You did?
Around 3 o'clock, yes.
Do you remember where the plane was going?
Look it up. First stop was Portugal, Lisbon.
Lisbon? You say 3 o'clock?
Did you happen to see the patient by any chance?
No, ma'am. He was in an emergency vehicle that had direct clearance to go right to the aircraft.
Thanks a lot, man. Down to a stroke of luck, I think we're going to be able to track every step from here on out. We're going to get Cruz home, Eden.
You can't be serious.
I've never been more so.
You think this is my dream come true? You've been out in the desert too long, pal. You're sick. I don't want any part of this.
Did you hear that, ladies? Perhaps you can change our American friend's mind, yes? By the time they finish with you, Castillo, you won't want to choose just one. You'll want them all.